Hey, Dr. Abby Medcalf coming at you with my best relationship advice series. This is installment 2. Installment 1 was my 5 quick wins, and this one is all about my the best mindsets to have, the best ways to shift how you're thinking so that you can really have your philosophies will be different in your relationship, and you can really have that close, intimate, strong, connected relationship you've been wanting. So let's jump right in. Number 1 is being of service. And I will tell you, you want to focus on being of service and not being right or what's fair or equal or any of that. As you know, I hate the competition thing when we start getting into that with our partners, and that creates a lot of problem. And the what's right thing or fair gets in the way quite a bit, because instead I want you to focus on being of service to your partner. And I will give you a quick example. I had a client recently who was very upset because her husband kept shaving and leaving his whiskers in the sink. And he would, clean up some, but always leave some. And she would complain about it and say, be more careful and have more detail and, da 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 da. And she came to me just complaining, like, I'm so sick of this. I've asked him over and over, I'm not his maid. And clearly, when I ask for something, when I think something's important, he blows me off. And it makes me so upset. I'm so frustrated. I'm resentful. And she was sad too. And I thought, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, so let me ask you something. How long does it take you actually to clean up the sink after, he's left stuff in there? And she said, I don't know, like 5 minutes. And I said, 5 minutes? Really? That's a long time. I want you to mimic right now what you do when you clean the sink. Turning on the faucets. I don't know if you get a rag or not or what you do, but what do you do? And she said, no, I just use my hand and I wash afterwards and stuff. And I said, all right, mimic it right now. We did it a couple times. It was 12 seconds. 12 seconds. I said, so you have been after your husband, nagging him, bugging him, over him for 12 seconds of your time. All because you think it's not fair or right that he's doing this, that you've decided it means all these things, that he thinks you're a maid, he doesn't care about you. And so I sat with her and we talked a little bit. I said, he does care about you. And I gave her examples, I've known her a while, of all the ways he shows how much he loves her and really puts her first. And I said, what if you just shifted your mindset to think, this is something I can do for him. For whatever reason, this is hard for him. Or he just doesn't see it the way I do. I'm very controlling, as you guys know, and I fix things around my house because it's the way I like it. So it's actually pleasing to me when I walk in and the pillows are nice on my couch, or things are really put away and clean. That's on me. And so I ask people to clean up after themselves and all that, and yeah, but nobody does it the way I do or to the degree I do. And so I do those things for myself to make myself happy, and I'm of service to my family. I'm creating a beautiful environment for them, a clean environment for them, and that's something I can do to be of service. So I asked her that. I said, why don't you just take this as something like, wow, I can do this every day. It takes 12 seconds. He really does try. He just doesn't do it the way I do it. And that way I don't have to bug him anymore. I can feel happy, and I can really think of these ways that I can be of service to him, that I can do things behind the scenes that help and make his life easier that he doesn't even have to see. And that's a very different energy to have in your relationship with your partner. So I'm going to say that. So get out of the fair or right or whatever and get into how can I be of service. Number 2 is feelings aren't facts. You need to have this philosophy. Just because you have a feeling, it ain't a fact. And feelings come and go. They, are all about what's happening in a moment, and they are all about what you're thinking. So you feel the way you think. That's why it's not a fact, because you can change your thoughts all the time. And when you get into that thing where you start thinking all these thoughts about your partner, and then you have all these negative feelings, and then you're trying to change the feeling, you can't do that. You have to change the thought first. So, and one of the things I really want you to pay attention to, which I've talked about before, is momentum. If you're thinking all day all these bad thoughts, the momentum gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and that's why it gets harder and harder to stop the emotions. And all of a sudden the emotions can feel overwhelming, like you need a divorce or something, about the hair in the sink. It takes on a life of its own. I've said this before, if you have a car on the top of a hill and it starts to roll and you want to stop it, is it better to stop it at the top of the hill, right near where it started, or is it better to stop it at the bottom? obviously at the top. So when you think bad things all day, that momentum takes over, and that's where you get into trouble. So that's what you have to stop. Okay. Number 3, your partner shouldn't make you happy. I said it. Your partner shouldn't make you happy. That's not their job. Nothing outside of you is the thing that should make you happy or unhappy. That is on you. That is your interpretation of things. That's how you think about things. The hair in the sink, someone else could have seen that and been fine with it. But you see it and you're upset. It's really all her husband was looking at it and he wasn't upset. It's all about what you think it means, what you think about something that's happening. So when you have in your head, oh, my partner came home in a bad mood and now I'm in a bad mood. No, that does not give you permission to be in a bad mood because they're in a bad mood. Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I say no one can make you feel. There doesn't have to be anything after that. It's up to you how you respond to things and where you take that each time. So I really need you to think about how much time and energy or effort you're putting into something, and how much energy you're giving it. So be really, really mindful of that. So it's not up to them to make you happy. That's you. It's your job to make you happy, and you have to figure out those pieces that make that happen. Okay. Number 4 is to have unconditional acceptance versus just focusing on unconditional love. I have lots of people who come in my office who clearly have a lot of love in the couple, but because there's not unconditional acceptance, that's where the problem comes. And this is, you have to separate the person from a behavior. You can accept a person and not accept a behavior. The problem is when we start talking to our partners or anyone else in a way that makes them feel bad as a person, not about this thing that they did or are doing that you don't like or whatever, but who they are. So when we call, you're lazy, you act so lazy, or you don't care about me, or you're not a good husband, or you're not a good wife. When we name them as character traits, that's when we're attacking a person. When we talk about a behavior we don't like and how it makes us feel, or what we're thinking about it, and we ask questions and all that good stuff, that's other videos, I won't get into that right here, but I want you to have this philosophy. When you do that, you're not accepting the person as they are. And I will tell you if you think about this, if you take it even out of coupledom and think about, I'm thinking about a good friend I had growing up who was gay, and his parents did not like that he was gay. And they were very loving people, very sweet people, but they kept saying things to him like, are you sure? And it's a phase, and you don't even know what you want. You're too young to know. We were teenagers at the time. And that's a really horrible thing to say to people, because then he felt like they didn't accept him. And so as loving as they were, he didn't feel the love. He didn't feel like they truly loved him because they didn't truly accept him. And your partner is going through that right now. You can say, I love you all the time. And the worst, I love you, but, I love you, but you do this thing, there's nothing worse than that, because you really don't, or you do, but people don't feel that. They can't feel it because you need this unconditional acceptance. So I don't want you to love your partner despite these things they do. I want you to love them because of the things they do. Embrace all of them, all of their pieces. And again, you can think, wow, this isn't something I like all the time in these spots, but I embrace this person, I love this person. And I will tell you, so for me in my life, you might notice I always have a lot of energy. I'm very quick, and I'm very like, oh, let's just do it. An idea comes up and I'm like off and running. And you can imagine that sometimes for my partner, that can feel like a lot. It's like, calm down, wait, let's talk for a minute. Let's figure this out. But if he was attacking me, it's like, you always jump the gun. You're always doing these things. You think too fast. You're moving too much. Your energy is a bit much. If any of that was coming out of his mouth, that's an attack on me as a person. And I would feel like crap. And I don't know that I would feel very loved by him. However, that is not what he says. And he might say like, oh, well, can we talk about that a little more? You know, you're way quicker than me on these things. You know, you just process different than I do. I need a minute. You know, can you slow down? Can you slow down at my pace? Can you come to where I am? And then it's like, of course I can. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize, you know, and I sort of come back to myself and we have these conversations and we can move forward. But do you see the difference? So he doesn't like the behavior maybe of something I'm doing and it's annoying, but he loves me and all of me. And this is just this behavior that's, you know, from this part of me. And by the way, he loves all my energy and all my enthusiasm and all my get it done quick when it works, you know, when we need to like make a quick reservation for something or we need to figure something out really quick and act on it. I'm your girl. So if you want to love me, then you have to accept all of me, and that sometimes that wonderful trait comes out in an annoying way. And sometimes it doesn't. And so again, it's embracing all of it and dealing with where the behaviors are that don't quite work. So there's a big shift there. And the last one is that I want you to work on yourself and stop comparing and focusing on your partner. So if you're noticing yourself focusing on your partner, anytime you do this, anytime you notice yourself, you know, oh, what are they doing? Oh, they did this. Oh, I'm mad about that. You know, that is your canary in a coal mine to look at yourself. You cannot control your partner. You know, I've tried. You cannot control other people. You have to put the attention on yourself. So whatever you're seeing out there that you don't like, you need to come in here and think to yourself, okay, this is a difficult situation. What do I need to do to shift it? What do I need to do to be different in this situation? And that could be that you can't change the situation, but you can change how you think about it. So it might be that, don't get me wrong. Okay. And I have a quick little 5-step process I use for this, which is that I do myself, that I think to myself, what am I feeling right now? So maybe I'm feeling resentful or angry. What thought or belief am I having that's causing that? Because remember, we feel the way we think. So with my client with the hair in the sink, she, you know what she thought, right? Oh, I'm thinking that it means he doesn't love me. He doesn't put my priorities first. He doesn't listen to me, right? All those beliefs that were causing that feeling of resentment and anger and frustration. So what else could be true is step 3. What is a better feeling thought I could have right now? And as I mentioned with her, it was like, oh, I could do this thing to be of service. And oh, it only takes 12 seconds. I don't know why I'm focusing on this. Whatever better feeling thought you could have right there. What else could be true? Oh, you know, hey, he's running around working really hard. He really did try with the sink. You know, this is just, he doesn't really pay attention to this stuff very well. It's not about me, it's about him. You know, anything that's gonna make you feel better. Or feel different, sorry, because you're thinking different. You might not feel better like everything's all rosy, but you'll feel different. And then number 4 is really important. It's how do I wanna feel in my relationship? How do you wanna feel in this relationship? And think of that. And so when I asked that to my client, she said, well, I want to feel appreciated and connected and loving, and I want laughter. And, you know, she had all these kind of wonderful things. I said, great. So number 5, the last piece is, what is one thing you can do right now to create appreciation, laughter, fun, whatever in your relationship? What is one thing you could do? And then go do it. One thing. And you will feel empowered. You will feel like you have efficacy in the world, like you can make things happen. You will feel in control, and you will stop feeling so hopeless and helpless and despondent and frustrated and resentful, because you have now taken a step. You have now done something. So that's it for today. Those are my 5 philosophies, key mindsets that to have to really create a different relationship. I'm Dr. Abby Medcalf. If you don't know, I help people create lasting change in their relationships, even if their partner or whoever else you're dealing with won't do a thing. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you real soon.